One member, her time has expired.
Thank you.
I call Todd McClay.
Mr Speaker, the last member who was on her feet speaking has done more to harm global warming and increase the temperature of the world through that speech than anybody else that I know. You see, what we heard there was a lot of huff and a lot of puff. What was that member's name? What was that member's name? It probably doesn't matter because nobody is interested. She said it's okay to use the global financial crisis as the reasons that emissions have dropped, but it's not okay when one considers GDP is down and recessions have been hitting different parts of the world. Far too much of that speech was in contradiction with what's important to New Zealanders. Mr Speaker, I want to commend our Minister Tim Grocer for bringing a responsible piece of legislation to this House. Responsible because it does our fair share on behalf of New Zealand, but it keeps down costs on New Zealand consumers, on New Zealand businesses and on New Zealand mums and dads. You see, Mr Speaker, a responsible piece of legislation from a responsible minister who is committed to a cleaner, greener, brighter future for all New Zealanders. And again, I commend him for bringing this to the House. It was interesting to hear the Honourable Member John Banks speak earlier. He spoke of the confused position of the Green Party. He also told us that New Zealand's emissions are 0.2% of the world's emissions. 0.2% of the world's emissions. He mentioned the Australian member of the Green Party, and that if Australia did more, it would have a greater effect than anything that party suggests New Zealand should do. He spoke of the American member of the Green Party, that if America did their bit, it would achieve more than anything that party suggests New Zealand could do. He did not mention Catherine Delahunty, the Martian member of the Green Party, or the other members of the Green Party that come from a different planet, because, Mr Speaker, this is responsible legislation, and it is about making sure that here in this country we do what's right for our businesses, for our mums and dads. I want to touch on 2 points extremely briefly. This legislation has come to this House following in-depth consideration of the ETS review panel's recommendations. This legislation comes to the House following wide consultation with our communities, having received written submissions, regional meetings and hui's around the country. Mr Speaker, the purpose of these changes is to maintain the costs of the emissions trading scheme at the current level in our economy. Finally, what I wanted to say, Mr Speaker, and I want to touch on something that's very important for my electorate. What will be introduced is an offset scheme for pre-1990 forest landowners, allowing for the full tranche of compensation where offsetting is not taking place. That's extremely reasonable. There's far too much of this farmland that we're growing trees on we could be farming on land that we could be growing trees on. This is actually recognising what's important for the economy, bringing flexibility to a system that is also good for the economy. Mr Speaker, I look forward to this coming to the Finance and Expenditure Committee. I look forward to us having the opportunity to hear from New Zealanders on all sides of this debate. This is a responsible thing for New Zealand. It's a responsible thing for agriculture in this country, and I commend Tim Grocer again for bringing a responsible bill to this House. Thank you.
I understand the next call is a split call between Labor